think one major mistake Nigeria will do is to put history in cognizance, because as we've seen in African football, past records do not play the games anymore. And like you noted, the long-term dominance we have over South Africa seems to have dissipated, because we now struggle to beat them. And like I was telling someone at the weekend when we were playing in New York, I said, when we were at the peak of our powers during the AFCON in Abidjan, it took penalty shooters to beat this South African side. So there is no superiority on paper. You know, when they played against us last year in New York, it was also a draw. So it's strictly the game on the pitch now for the Super Eagles. It is strictly fighting for the 3 points at stake now for the Super Eagles, because a draw might not even be enough for us to finish second place, as the case may be. So all other things, head-to-head, history, personal issues should have to be put aside and focus solely on getting the 3 points, whatever will deliver the 3 points for them in Bloemfontein this evening.
All right, Mazola, let me come to you. You are currently in South Africa. You follow the South African team closely. They've had a very good run, even in the AFCON qualifiers and now the World Cup qualifiers. Going into this game, they've only lost 1 in their last 8 matches against Nigeria. Who do you think is more under pressure? I mean, Nigeria or South Africa? And what does this really give South Africa real confidence going into today's clash?
Yeah, look, I think the lock table speaks for itself. If I were to sit here and speak about who's under pressure, who's not, I mean, both teams in their own respective ways are under pressure to some degree. Trying to get to the World Cup, Bafana Bafana haven't done it in a wee bit. The Super Eagles are staring at the possibility maybe of missing out on a successive FIFA World Cup, but we are grateful that now we have more spots. So there's another chance if Nigeria or South Africa don't finish top of their group. But as I said, the lock table speaks volumes. South Africa need to just maintain the gap. That's all they have to do. If you lose this match, then you bring in your rivals in Group C ever so closer to catching up with you. But if you maintain an unbeaten record in these qualifiers, minus that blip in that terrible pitch away when we played earlier in the group stages, then you stand a very good chance. I mean, by tonight, if South Africa beat Nigeria and Benin fail to beat Lesotho, then it's curtains and Bafana Bafana through to the FIFA World Cup next year.
All right, Fisayo, let's go and look at the team, the core of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Victor Osimhen will not be available for today's game, but we saw Tolu Arokodare step up and then got that winner for Nigeria against Lesotho, against Rwanda, I beg your pardon. If you were in the shoes of Eric Chell, which of course I know you are not at the moment, but how would you set up your squad against a South African side that are very good with energy, they can chase you all 90 minutes, and also very good, from the wings and attack?
Well, I hate this question actually, because Eric Chell will not set up the team the way I will do. So I think it's immaterial what I tell you about what I will do anyway. But you mentioned Tolu Arokodare. I think is the next X factor we have after Victor Osimhen. It's instructive that in this series, we had failed to win games in which Victor Osimhen participated. And on Friday, it was the first time that we won a game with Osimhen not on the pitch. Who made it happen? Tolu Arokodare. Now he's clearly the player that has the physique that is built for the African game, that can bully defenders. We saw the way he did against Rwanda. So definitely I'm starting him. But Charles would play his diamond, his 4-4-2 diamond. I think that's where my problem is. If you're going to play the 4-4-2 diamond, do not experiment with having Moses Simon to play with Arokodare or Ademola Lookman. You want to play a 4-4-2 diamond, let your two be strikers. I would personally play Arokodare with Uche Crisantos, whom, for whatever reason, Eric Chell does not fancy. I don't know. These are the players suited for African football. Crisantos has shown his physicality in the La Liga. Now he has earned himself a move to Crystal Palace. But guess what? Erichel will never start him in games. He did not even give him 1 minute on Friday. So that's why I say, if I tell you what I want to do, it's not the same thing that Erichel fancies. So that's me.
All right, Mazola, before I let you, you guys go, Mazola, if Stanley Wabali is a goalkeeper that keeps for Chippa United in South Africa, and from the energy coming from South Africans, seems the players already, they're looking at this goalkeeper is a well-known goalkeeper. Just before the international window, Chippa United lost to Orlando Pirates, and Stanley Wabali was in goal for Chippa United. Do you think that also plays an advantage to South Africa, knowing that this goalkeeper is a well-known goalkeeper in the league, and players who are currently in South Africa, majority of them have seen him, they've played against him a couple of times, Mamelodi Sundowns, Orlando Pirates. How much of positives would that be for South Africa? And also, topping the group, how important is this game for the country of South Africa going to the 2026 World
Cup? Make no mistake about it. Stanley Wabali is a top goalkeeper. Obviously, he wouldn't have helped the Super Eagles reach the finals of the AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire if he wasn't. I just think maybe if you look at the bigger picture, he plays for a mid-table team, so to speak. And perhaps if you compare, the quality of Stanley Wabali's team that is cheaper and the quality in the Super Eagles, it's chalk and cheese. So of course he will raise his level when he's with his national team because of the type of caliber players that surround him. Yes, it's an advantage to South African players to some degree because they know him, they know his strengths and they know his weaknesses. They know that he struggles if you take shots, grass cutters on the ground because obviously of his big stature and big figure to get to the ground. But he dominates aerial, possession and aerial balls, so to speak. So they'll probably target some of those. But at the same time, it's not to undermine in any way the defensive structure of the Super Eagles. We saw Benjamin Frederick, what he done at 20 years old, the coach leaving the captain on the bench in favor of this 20-year-old that's coming up the ranks and seemingly going to be a superstar. So yes, going back to that earlier question about pressure, I definitely think the Super Eagles have a lot more to lose than Bafana Bafana, who can, I'm sure Coach Hugo Bruce doesn't want it that way, but I'm sure Bafana can afford a slip up here or two given the points gap, but the Super Eagles certainly cannot. But it's all about keeping the gap for Bafana Bafana. If they can make sure that they do not lose tonight, who knows, with 2 more games to go after this World Cup qualification beckons.
All right, I want to say a big thank you to you, but I just remembered you mentioned Hugo Bruce. Fisayo, if you also remember, Hugo Bruce was the coach of Cameroon when Nigeria qualified to the 2018 World Cup. And right now, he'll be looking to maybe get a revenge with another team. South Africa, looking likely in terms of how he has been able to do so far. But I'd like to get predictions. I know, yes, Mazola may want to say South Africa win, but what do you think might play out? If you look at what you've seen so far from the first round of matches, do you think it will be a Nigeria win, or will it be a South Africa win, or a draw? What do you guys think?
I think it looks pretty much like a draw game. They draw perfectly to South Africa. They will do everything they want to not lose. Everything they can to not lose. So it might just be a draw game. Yeah.
All right, Mazola, a win for South Africa, a draw, or you think there might be an upset?
Bafana Bafana definitely need to close this chapter now. We can't be having our hearts in our in our hands in the lead up to the October and November FIFA qualifiers as well. So I'm sure the boys in camp want to wrap this up as quickly as possible, and tonight could be the night.
All right, tonight could be the night. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Fisayo Dairo from Port Harcourt, Nigeria, and to you, our friend Mazola Molefe from currently Bloemfontein, South Africa. Thank you very much for joining. We look forward to an exciting game later this evening, 5 p.m. Nigerian time, 6 p.m. South African time. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.